The seventh night was the hardest. I woke up in the cramped driver's seat of my Honda, the city lights painting weird stripes across the dashboard. In the back, my daughter was crying softly. My son was asleep, his face pressed against the window. We were homeless. Just 3 weeks earlier, we'd been evicted. The landlord handed me a check for $4,700, our relocation fee. It felt like a fortune, but it vanished into thin air when landlord saw my credit score. I spent 30 frantic days applying to every apartment I could find. Every single one was a rejection. On day 29, with our time up, I packed the car. I told the kids it was a camping adventure. They believed me for a little while. We tried staying at my mom's, 9 people crammed into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. It was chaos, unsustainable. That's when a memory surfaced. Mr. Sullivan, my landlord from 8 years ago. He was a kind older man. I remembered the address of his fourplex and just started driving. When I got there, there was no for rent sign, but I knocked anyway. My heart was pounding. He opened the door, and his eyes widened in recognition. "Maria?" he said. I stumbled through my words, asking if he had any vacancies. He shook his head gently. "They're all full, my dear. I've actually been trying to sell the building for a year now. I'm ready to retire." Defeated, I thanked him and turned to leave. But then something snapped. I stopped and turned back. My voice was shaky but clear. "You know, Mr. Sullivan, you should be grateful for what you have. I'm about to spend another night sleeping in my car with my 2 children." The words hung in the air. He didn't get defensive. He just paused, really looking at me. "How much did they give you for the relocation?" he asked. I told him. He motioned for me to come inside, a look of contemplation on his face. Inside his small apartment, he pulled out a folder of paperwork. The building was appraised at $320,000. Then he made the craziest offer I'd ever heard. He said I could use my $4,700 as a down payment. He would personally finance the rest. I would live in 1 unit for free, and 60% of the rent from the other 3 units would be my mortgage payment to him. The numbers spun in my head. The 3 units brought in $3,200 a month. My mortgage would be $2,400. That left $800 for taxes, insurance, and repairs. I was terrified. What if the roof leaked? What if a tenant didn't pay? I was already working 2 jobs, a medical assistant by day and a waitress by night. He saw the fear in my eyes. "I'll teach you," he said calmly. "You're a hard worker, Maria. You can learn this." I went back to my car and just cried. But these weren't tears of despair. They were tears of hope. I wiped my face, walked back to his door, and shook his hand. 2 weeks later, we sat in an attorney's office, and I became the owner of a fourplex with a $315,000 debt to Mr. Sullivan at 6% interest. It was surreal. A week after that, a tenant moved out, and my kids and I moved into our very own 2-bedroom apartment. They finally had their own beds. The reality of being a landlord hit fast. 3 weeks in, a hot water heater broke. $1,700. I panicked. A month later, another tenant broke their lease, and suddenly I was short $800 a month. I called Mr. Sullivan, my voice trembling. He didn't scold me. He loaned me the money for the heater, interest-free, and walked me through the process of screening tenants. I learned my lesson and found a wonderful new family to move in. Over the next few years, he became my mentor. He taught me about tenant law, how to negotiate with contractors, and the importance of a maintenance fund. After the first year, I was able to quit my waitressing job. By year 3, the building needed a new roof. $32,000. I only had $7,000 saved. I felt like I was failing. But Mr. Sullivan showed me how to get a home equity line of credit. "The building itself is a tool, Maria," he told me. "It can help you solve its own problems." That lesson changed everything. By year 6, my life was unrecognizable. I had paid down a good chunk of the principal, and the building's value had climbed to $450,000. My kids were thriving, watching their mom transform from a scared, helpless woman into a confident business owner. My credit was repaired, and I qualified for a conventional bank loan at a much lower interest rate. I drove to Tucson to hand Mr. Sullivan his final check in person. It was an emotional day. As I handed it to him, he smiled. "You know the secret, Maria? The real reason I took a chance on you." I shook my head. "It was your gratitude," he said. "Even when you were at rock bottom, sleeping in your car, you didn't ask for a handout. You reminded me to be grateful. That's a powerful thing." With the new bank mortgage, my payments were lower, and the property was finally cash flowing in a significant way. That $4,700 that felt so useless turned out to be the seed for a whole new life. It wasn't just about money. It was about gaining knowledge of seller financing, equity, and creative real estate. Fast forward 10 years. I'm at a local real estate meet. A young single mom stands up, her voice wavering, asking how she can possibly get started with no money and bad credit. I smiled, walked up to the front, and told her my story. Today, I mentor other women, teaching them the power of creative financing. My daughter is studying real estate management in college, and my son is studying architecture. The building is now worth over $600,000. Sometimes I walk through the courtyard in the evening. I see Mrs. Chun watering her plants, the young couple in Unit 2 laughing on their patio, the veteran in Unit 3 reading on his porch. This isn't just a building, it's a community I built. I learned that gratitude isn't a passive feeling, it's an active force. It's about taking the opportunities you're given, no matter how small, and caring for them until they grow. I went from homeless to a homeowner, from a tenant to a landlord who never forgets what it feels like to be on the other side. And that is the real wealth, the knowledge you gain and the ability to lift others up with you. Thank you for watching.